Happy Thursday. It's December 7th, 2023. Great to be with all of you today. My name is Bob Lang, and it's time for our Daily Bites. Every Monday and Thursday morning between 8:30 and 8:45, we come in and deliver some good, hard-hitting news about markets and kind of get an idea of where things may be going. So, as it is this morning, we have futures are up nicely so far. S&P futures up almost 10 handles. Already 10 handles. NASDAQ up about 70. Dow is down a little bit here. It's been negative most of the morning, but we did get a dip down below 45.50 on the futures overnight, and we're at 45.65 right now. Yesterday was a bit of a down session, following a big down session on Monday, of course. So far this morning, we have some good strength in Google. I'm going to talk about that one in just a moment. Tesla's up a little bit. Amazon is up. We do see some strength in DG, Dollar General, which reported earnings this morning. Also had Sienna, which also reported this morning. And see that one there. It's flat. Overnight, last night, we had poor earnings from Viva, and which is down $5. We have, you can see also GameStop was down about 8%, and then Chewy also disappointed on the downside as well too. So they're down about 11%. So after this big huge rally in November, and then we got started off in December on Friday with a really strong day. You figured that that the markets were pretty overbought and due for a bit of a pullback. And as erratic as any pullback can be, that's pretty much what we've had so far for the first few days of this week. We'll see if today is a turnaround day. It looks like there's a nice strong bid in the market so far today. So what we'll do is we'll take our cues from what we see all day long and go from there. I want to show you a couple of charts, of course. Here's the, let me show you this one first. Here's the S&P 500. And you can see here that after a nice big run from the end of October, from around Halloween, we have some gaps here in the chart, which eventually are going to get filled, right? When we come back, we'll come back down and fill these gaps. It may not happen next week or next month or even in 6 months, but these will eventually get filled. But we can see that the stock market is stalling and consolidating at a nice high level here. So basically, what does that mean? It means that we have some support there at about the 45.50 level, and trying to get through to 4600. Just couldn't get above there on a close last week. So as hard as we tried, we were about 4 or 5 points below. So we're sitting at about 45. Looks like 45.60. 45.49 right now on the S&P 500. A little more than 1% away from that 4,600 magical mark. And of course, if that gets penetrated, and then we get a follow-through day above there, then there's some potential for getting to the new all-time highs, which is about 48.18. All right. We do have some resistance at that 4,600 level again from back here in July. We tried to get through there. We had all these, again, remember, much like I just said, with all the gaps, well, we had a lot of gaps here from this market rally in June and July, and they came right back down and filled those gaps again. Of course, next week is another Fed meeting, the last one of 2023, and it's very highly likely that the Fed is going to pass on any action in this policy meeting. They will also be giving out projections at this meeting of economic projections for GDP, unemployment, Fed funds, and inflation. So we get these projections just about every other meeting in March, June, September, and December. So we'll have those to chew over next week. Also, inflation reports coming out next week. We'll have the CPI number, which Cleveland Fed is predicting that we're going to have a flat to slightly lower negative number on CPI. So people may look at that and start saying, "Oh, well, finally, prices are coming down," right? But you know yourself, if prices are coming down and if they're coming down at a rate where that you're able to stretch your dollars out as long as you possibly can. So we have that, and then I want to show you another chart here as well too. The NYHL, which is the New York Stock Exchange high-low list, has been starting to improve, right? Over the past 3.5 weeks, we've seen some improvement above zero line since the second week in November. And as long as it stays up there strong over here, this is on a buy signal, right? This is good breath for the markets overall. Speaking of breath, it's been horrible this week. It's just been terrible. I mean, obviously, Monday was a terrible breath day, but we did have, I mean, it wasn't a good breath day because the Russell was up, but Tuesday was a terrible breath day. And then yesterday wasn't great either. It was just slightly negative, but because of strength early on in the markets, it got bad later on. Let me show you the internals, what that looks like here. You can see how bad the markets turned towards the end of the day. Lots and lots of red on the ticks. Lots and lots of red on the ticks over here. We see the ADD, which is the advanced, the accumulation distribution over here. And then here's the cumulative AD, SPD. And then, of course, the bald was positive and then turned down negative in the last hour and a half over here. And the VIX started climbing over here. So, again, people wanting to add some protection, who can blame them? In front of the jobs report coming out tomorrow morning, it could go either way. And if it's showing some inflation in there, I think the markets are going to get whacked. But so far, listen, it's Thursday. It's not Friday yet, so we need to trade what we have in front of us today. I mentioned Google here. Now, obviously, Google had some news this morning about their AI. Stock has been really trending nowhere here. Look at this. Look at this chart here. I mean, this is just basically, to the upside, 140 once or twice, and it's really been in kind of a no man's land. Maybe went between 120 and 140, right? So if it looks like it's going to get a good move here, oh, Tony's back. If it looks like it's going to get a good move up above these moving averages over here, 134, you need to see some confirmation tomorrow. If we get that confirmation tomorrow, then it could be good to go to make a run up towards that 140 level. So I'm going to wait a little bit on this one. I may decide to add a few calls on this one. I'm not sure yet. As for tonight, I have some calls working on DocuSign, which is one I like a lot here. DOCU, which is up sharply for us for the past few days. We have some calls on this one. I also have a few out of the money calls on Broadcom, which reports earnings later on tonight. It's below the 20-day moving average. It's zooming in on the 50-day moving average over here, so we want to keep an eye on this one. It's not as bullish as it was back before the last earnings report back in September. But still, having corrected off of $1,000, almost 10% now on the downside of the past 3.5 weeks, maybe the setup is here real nice for a long call play after the stock has come down and removed some of the froth from the early part of November. Stock went up from about 820 all the way up to 1,002. It's about 17%. The stock has run. And it's pulled back a good portion of that move. So you like to see that going into earnings, at least for a big stock like Broadcom. So that's going to be it, everyone. Again, we did buy some puts yesterday as a protective measure on some SPY and some IWM. They're obviously, if the markets are up today, they're not going to be working today, and that's okay. We can always make some adjustments on these, sell some upside puts against what we have. We have some long calls already as well. We can possibly even add some QQQ calls if that's going to be strong today. So lots of things we can do, right? But the most important thing is for you to manage your risk. And the one emphasis I made on the chat room yesterday was early on in the day when it was very easy to do some selling. When the markets were up, they were strong. It was much easier to do some selling, certainly, than it was later in the day, right? And that's what this game's all about. It's managing your risk. Manage your risk in an appropriate way that makes you feel comfortable that you can book profits. because at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? Isn't it making money? Isn't that what we're here for? I mean, you may be here to learn also, but the point of trading is for you to make money consistently from one trade to the next, from one day to the next, from 1 week, 1 month to the next, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, you want to sustain yourself. You want to be viable here and be able to say, look, you know what? I can make money in a very tough and challenging, unknown environment that we have. That's basically what the stock market is. It's an unknown environment because nobody can see the future, right? And we have to make educated guesses on what we see happening with stocks, right? So, protect your gains. If you have them, take some gains off. Yesterday, I was doing it all day long. I was basically, I had some really strong wins on Nike, for instance. I had some January 105 calls. I'd bought at 4 and change. They went up to 9. So what I would do is I would sell those and I would roll up to the 115 calls at about, or the 120 calls. I think the 120 calls were about 370, right? So in at 4, out at 9, back in at 370. See what I'm doing there? See what I'm doing there? So what I'm doing is I'm taking my original cost and profits off the table first, and then going in with even a lesser amount of capital than I did the first time around. So that's kind of how it works here. That's what we do. And so I'm able to put some money in the bank a profit, keep my trade on if I like it, and move on to the next trade. All right. So that's going to be it, everyone. Have a great day and have a great weekend. And it's getting cold out there. We're chilly out here in New England. It's in the 20s right now. So stay warm, and hopefully we'll see you guys back on Monday. And I thank you very much for listening to me today. I appreciate it. Any comments, any questions on anything that you have for me, please send them over. I'm happy to read them and listen to what you guys have to say. Remember, we're all a team effort here. We're all doing it, trying to make some money together in a very tough and challenging environment. And the team does really extremely well in the chat room, and we're really happy with how things are going. If you're not in the chat room, come on and check it out, and hopefully we'll see you there. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I'll see you guys all on Monday. No sense of it all, but I can see it makes no sense at all. Is it cool to go to sleep on the floor? 'Cause I'm saying that I can take it.